Well, hello and welcome once again to the DCL podcast, where we're inviting you to sit back, relax, and we'll be on our way shortly.
Hello, DCL podcast. This is Christy
and Dave.
We are on the Wonder of the Seas. They tout themselves as the world's largest cruise line. But really, isn't it just the world's largest cruise line that sails from North America? Because you don't know this, but there's that like Genting cruise line, blah, 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 and cruise ships, aren't those bigger? So everybody tell me the answer to that.
Well, it's kind of like the World Series. Yeah. The World Series, that includes U.S. and Canada.
So, okay, we're on a 7-night cruise to the Eastern Caribbean. Spring break cruise with stops to St. Thomas, St. Kitts, and
Coco Cay.
Coco Cay. Perfect day at Coco Cay. And we are recording our first snippet on day 3 because, we can't be too timely with our snippets. We have been recording Patreon shows. So, if you were a Patreon, you've gotten to at least see one, but the second one wouldn't upload.
Because the Voomy internet is not so Voomy.
Yeah, so internet hasn't been very good. And yesterday they said that there was an issue with the satellite, but they didn't tell the people on board.
No, and it feels like there still was a problem with the satellite last night and this morning a bit.
Yeah,
so
it's not... I don't think they've resolved it.
No.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. We arrived, it was a Sunday to Sunday cruise. We arrived at maybe 11:45 to the port. And driving to the port from the Orlando area, super busy with traffic. Like more busy than we have seen on these cruises in a very long, ever.
Yeah.
There were 3 big ships in port that day, so I'm guessing that's why. Obviously this one. And then we got to the Royal Caribbean port and it was jammed. Like we went to drop off our luggage and even to get there we just sat in the car and waited, and then Blake and I decided to hop out to go to the bathroom like we do every single time we arrive in a port. And Dave went to park the car and it took 40 minutes, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I think you guys went to the bathroom and then probably about 10 minutes later, you called me and it's like, oh, where are you at? And I was like, I've moved 5 feet.
Yeah, and we looked over and he was literally basically 1 car length forward. Yeah. So eventually they sorted that out, but it took 40 minutes. But then
part of it, I think, was so they kept saying, well, part of it was that people had to pay to park, and that was taking a while.
We're so...
We assumed it was because, at Disney's port, you have the machine that you loop around to that you pay, and, okay, maybe people are struggling with the machine. But apparently they had people with handheld devices, and that was taking a long time. And then the parking was out and all that, yeah.
Right. So, yeah, he couldn't park in the parking structure. He had to go and park, across the street in, a...
amongst pallets that are going to be shipped, so...
shipping container storage or something. So, whatever. That was an adventure.
Getting on the ship, though, was easy. Once we got through security.
So, it took less than 15 minutes to go through security and to board the ship.
Yeah.
That was super fast. And there was a lot of people, but open boarding had occurred by the time we arrived. So we got on, and then we had to decide where to go for food. We decided to try Johnny Rockets, which is an additional charge restaurant. I believe it was $13 a person. And what killed me just a little inside is that my son decided he wanted a hot dog. And there was a hot dog stand, adjacent to Johnny Rockets, which was included. So we were paying for him to eat a hot dog and fries that he decided he didn't want any of the fries of. And he only likes Disney World fries right now. Yeah. I don't know what his problem is, but he's not eating any other fries. So he didn't eat his fries. He didn't eat his ice cream that came with his lunch.
No.
And he didn't eat the Or he ate the hot dog, but
Yeah.
he didn't eat his fries.
Didn't really care for the bun either, he said. But he ended up eating it, but it just...
Yeah, because we forced him to. We're
Yeah.
like, you need to eat some food, child.
You paid $13 for this hot dog. You're going to eat the hot dog.
So, my food... All of our food took a long time. But I think it was a server problem because other people got their food way quicker.
Yeah.
And then my food took forever. Like, 45 minutes to finally get my french fries. Which were delicious. And piping hot. But it took 45 minutes. Why would it take 45 minutes to, like, that means they didn't start it because you don't fry french fries for 45 minutes. So, whatever. That whole meal, though, there was, like, communication problems a little bit, and there was some delays. There was many delays with our server. And like I said, 45 minutes to get my french fries, but my food came first. But Dave's french fries came first. Then his food came.
Yeah, same with Blake's.
But my french fries came like 15 minutes after my hamburger, or 10 minutes after my hamburger. The toppings that I asked for my hamburger, like, never came. It was just...
Well, and then you even commented or asked, well, why did the fries come out before the meal? And they said, oh, that's just what we do here. And
But then mine came out 10 minutes later.
Okay, so very
anyway,
strange.
We are, by the way, in our cabin, which we'll talk about in a second. And the ocean sounds are glorious in this cabin. I don't know if it's a bigger ship. I feel like it's just more ocean soundy.
Yeah.
Like really nice cutting through the ocean.
It's like sitting at the beach.
Like noise machine backdrop
Yeah.
of awesome oceanness, and we're sitting at the beach. So there were enough troubles with the meal. I did say something to the, like, restaurant manager, whoever, somebody person, and they ended up comping our meal. And so I didn't ultimately pay $13 for Blake to eat, you know, included food 5 feet from there. But it was really delicious food, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's like my hamburger was really good.
Yeah, and I had a chicken club that was really good, crispy chicken club
And
sandwich.
the french fries were delicious, in my opinion. So... yeah, you know, first day troubles. You have to remember, too, there was the time change, and maybe the crew were all tired because
they lost an hour.
They lost an hour of sleep, and they don't have enough hours of sleep in the first place. Okay, so then, sorry, we eventually get to our room. Well, we don't have to go through all that play-by-play.
Right.
This ship is huge, though.
Huge.
It takes so much time to get from one place to another. I think our neighbors are coming out, and every time they come out, it's a big commotion. So we'll see what happens. The room we booked was the family veranda stateroom. This stateroom, I believe, can sleep up to 6. I believe it could be, up to 6. Which I'm not sure where 6 people's towels would go because they've given us 4 towels for the week, and there's literally not enough room for 4 towels in there. So I don't know where you would put 6.
Yeah. Sleeping wise, they could fit.
Sleeping wise, yes.
It's a decent sized room.
It's at least a double room. Maybe it is just a double. Well, maybe not quite a double because like a whole nother bed couldn't fit there.
Right.
So anyway, it's like a 1.5 size cabin room. And it has a bunk bed in the corner with a curtain. And Blake has made himself a little fort, and it is absolutely adorable. He loves that fort so much. So then there's like a couch, which also has a trundle bed if you had more people, which we just don't. There's tons of storage in this room. No coffee table, though. There doesn't appear to be coffee tables in Royal Caribbean cruises. And I know they charge for room service, but even if you wanted to eat in here, like, I don't know how that would work.
No, we have a tiny table on the balcony, but it would barely hold anything, let alone a whole tray of food.
It would definitely not. It's like less than a foot across.
Small cocktail table type thing.
The shower is plenty roomy.
Yep. Bathroom is small, but the shower is roomy.
The sink area is hilarious. It would be quite funny if there were 6 people in here. I just don't see how that would work.
Yeah.
And, okay, so the first night we had pre-booked. You have to pre-book all of your shore excursions or your activities on Royal Caribbean. And we had pre-booked the comedy show, which we were too tired to go to.
Yeah.
I think we were all just a little bit pooped. Blake, we did open house with him. We took him to the kids club. That first night of dropping off was complete chaos. But he has enjoyed the kids club. Like,
Yes.
he's been going just like he does on the other ships. On the Wonder, the kids club space is huge.
Yeah.
They have the 6 to 12-year-olds in one room, and it is giant. So that's, really nice for him. And they seem to be doing lots of fun activities. He comes back sweaty and disgusting every single time. And I think we have to take a break because we have to go to dinner. But I would say that about covers the first day. We ate dinner in the main dining room. We didn't end up seeing the show. We've maybe been spending too much time in our cabin with this door open because it's so
heavenly.
lovely.
It's peaceful. It's quiet.
It's breezy, so it's kind of cooler this week. And so we have just like nice airflow coming through. Listening to the ocean sounds has been...
And I feel like you do feel the number of people when you're in those public areas. Like, you go to the pool area, you feel there's a lot of people. It's just everywhere you go, there's people. So having this oasis is lovely.
It's so nice. And what else did we do? Did we go anywhere else the first night?
I think we were just exploring the ship.
Yeah, we did some exploring that first day together as a family at various times as well. So we did that. And I think that's going to be it for now that we'll talk about. And then we'll discuss we'll discuss day 2 and this part of day 3 either tomorrow or later on tonight.
Yep.
So that's it. Hello.
Hello.
It's day
4.
Okay.
St. Kitts Day.
So we are sailing away from St. Kitts. I mean, it's nighttime, so it's nighttime from St. Kitts. The ocean is occurring behind us. We are back in our cabin. We wanted to go and be amongst the people, and then the people, they just want to leave.
Yes, the people were the people.
And we were like, we have a semi-comfortable couch and the beautiful ocean sounds in our cabin. Let's just go there and play video games on our phones and do silly things that are whatever. It's guilt-free because we're on vacation. We can do whatever we want.
Yep.
So this is what we chose to do again. And then we realized that it's day 4 and we've only covered day 1.
Yes.
For our snippets. So we need to go back in time and discuss the things that occurred before now. So day 2, I start every day by going to what is called the Diamond Lounge, which is a lounge for people that are at the diamond level of cruisers, which is like, 139 cruise points or something like that. And I don't actually know that it's that much. I think that's to the next level. We don't have that either way, but we had met the celebrity elite status, and because of that, it carries over. So if you have status with celebrity, for example, Royal Caribbean will allow a match type situation. So just make sure you tell your travel agent or call the Crown and Anchor Society, and they will do a status match situation just between those two lines. So I start there and get a coffee out of the lovely coffee machine, which is probably akin to the coffee machine on a Disney concierge class lounge. So I run down, get my coffee. Eventually my family woke up while I was getting my coffee. Everybody's been sleeping in because we had the time change.
Yep.
And what did we do? It was a sea day.
It was a sea day. Was that the day we went for a run, or was that the next day?
That was the next day.
So I think we really just explored the ship.
Oh,
Blake went to the kids
club like almost the whole day.
Yeah.
So pretty much any time he did not have to be in, like, the kids club closes. Did we talk about the times already? Really quickly, the times are from like 9 to 12, 2 to 5, and 7 to 10 are the included hours of the kids club, and he went there. What did we do?
I think we just explored the ship.
We explored the ship
then
and
we
probably opened up our cabin door, our balcony door, and sat in here.
Just sat in here.
I did have to do work, but that was in the afternoon. So, and then we had lunch, and Blake went back into the kids' club. Where did we have lunch? We had lunch in the main dining room.
Main dining room, yep.
Which was fine.
Yep.
And then...
And...
Oh, we had brunch.
Right.
Was that the brunch day?
That was the brunch day, yes.
Yeah, that was the brunch day. So we had brunch in the main dining room, and I had the worst, like, undercooked French toast. It was a lovely effort, but it was awful.
Yep.
That's fine. The rest of my breakfast was really good, and Dave doesn't love breakfast, so...
I had chicken and waffles, fried chicken and waffles, which were good.
That was good.
Yeah, that was good.
And the waffles weren't soggy like
no,
on the
they weren't soggy.
today.
The buffet was very soggy today, but at the lunch in main dining room, they were nice and crispy, and it came with syrup. Now the fried chicken and waffles, though, they had this side sauce that I didn't really care for. It was some sort of like spicy barbecue with honey type thing. It was just kind of not great. But fortunately, it came on the side, so I did not have to have it.
Right. So, and then, we walked around. So after lunch, we were waiting for the kids' club to open. That's when we really explored everything on the pool deck and on the upper decks. Oh, and Blake played in this, like, playscape.
Mm-hmm.
They have an entire playscape. So the thing about this ship is, if you are an active, want to do lots of things person, I feel like this is the ship for you.
There's a lot to do.
You know what we didn't talk about what we did in the morning?
What?
We went ice skating.
Right, the ice skating. That was that first day, that first sea day.
So I got my coffee, and then I came back, and I think I ate a granola bar for breakfast, whatever. I brought my own. Who has time to always sit down for breakfast?
Right.
And my family doesn't eat breakfast, so It's just me. So we went ice skating. So it started at 9:30. I think it went until maybe noon. And one of the tips I actually got from... Do you guys all listen to Cruise Tips TV? They do a bunch of different cruise, obviously, commentary. And they were recently on the Wonder, so I had listened to their episodes. And she talked about how ice skating only occurs a couple of times. To that end, I think it only occurs one more time. I wonder if that time is tomorrow. I'll have to look. So she said, make sure you go if you're interested, because it only occurs a couple times. The thing about Royal Caribbean that's really good is that most of their options that you can do activity-wise don't have an extra fee. They're not going to charge you to do it. So they didn't charge us to go ice skating. Everybody has to wear a helmet. Oh, you go and you check in, you fill out a waiver that I just stop reading because I'll never agree to it if I had to read it. You know, the lawyer in me comes out every now and then. So you fill out the waiver, you get a time slot, and I think our time was like a half an hour after we checked in, which was perfectly fine. And then we went ice skating.
Yep. It's 30 minutes, but you really end up getting about 20 because
or maybe 15 if you're us and cannot get your act together.
Get your boots on and, or skates on and your helmet on and all that.
There's very much not enough chairs for the number of people getting their boots on. And you can't just put boots on standing up.
No.
So you need a chair. So you have to wait for a chair to open up and then you get your chair. So we went ice skating. Blake...
He was a bit terrified.
A bit petrified. It was his first time. Dave came up with this idea to, hold his waist and push him. But poor Dave is apparently not an ice skater.
It was Blake's first time. It was my third time. So, and I think
have not been ice skating ample times. But, however, I'm still more coordinated on the ice. You are way more coordinated
on the ice. Previous two times were probably 20 years ago, and then when I was Blake's age. So, and I was not good at it either time. So...
I mean, my previous time at least was 20 years ago. I think 15, 20 years ago. So it doesn't matter. This is not a competition, except if it was, I am the better ice skater in my family.
Yeah. But yeah, we got behind Blake and we started just kind of holding by the waist, and we would go move ourselves and he would just stand still and let himself glide along.
One time I went a little too fast.
Yep.
I was very... Ambitious, and he freaked out.
Yeah, he did fall the softest fall ever, and then he burst into tears because I think it was more of a tension break than anything else. But he liked it. He actually did like it a lot.
He said, too, that he'd like to go ice skating again and that he would like me to stand behind him and push him.
Yes.
So that's good.
Yeah, that's very good. And then we did do, after that, the loyalty program, the loyalty thing.
Oh, yeah. We put Blake in the kids club and then went to, so we're back to day one again. I think we never left, but we were before lunch now or whatever. We were after an hour before lunch. So, yeah, we went and met all these people, or didn't meet them, but we arrived super late because it took forever to check Blake into the kids club. And then it also took forever to get from the front of the ship to the back of the ship. Man, moving on the ship is hard. Do you know all the people that complain about the Disney Wish and their dead ends? Their dead ends have nothing on this ship. Yeah. Nothing. Even Carnival, I think, has a more fluid movement from the front to the back of the ship than the ship does. It is rough trying to move about the ship. So, whatever. I got distracted. Oh, we had to get there, so we were super late to the loyalty thing, which was fine. It was still nice to listen to the captain, listen to a couple of officers. It was interesting though, because I swear the housekeeping officer said he has 2,000 housekeepers on board, which, by the way, this is the dirtiest ship we've been on in such a long time. You go to the bathrooms in the public spaces, and they're big, and they're fine, but they are not clean. They are not Disney standards. And I realized people oh, Disney is a cleaner ship. Disney is a cleaner ship. Yeah. Well, Celebrity is probably too. What I
keep remembering is whenever I'm on Disney or Celebrity, whenever I go into the men's room, there's almost always an attendant in the room or just outside, and they're constantly cleaning.
Yeah.
Here, I have yet to see an attendant anywhere near the rooms.
When I went tonight, the attendant was checking her email. Oh. In the bathroom.
When I went tonight, someone flushed in the ladies' room, I think, or somewhere else, and it sounded like the ship was rending apart.
No.
It was a giant shrieking noise. I'm like, okay, well then.
Why were you in the ladies' room?
No, it was in the men's room, but it was, so clearly it wasn't ladies, because ladies is across the way, but it was somebody next door flushed.
Okay. So. That's a good story. Yeah. So, the ship falls apart when you flush the toilet, apparently, is what Dave just said.
Iceberg right ahead.
Iceberg. Okay, so
we did the loyalty. And then I think at that point, we just hung out a little bit until lunch. We walked around a little bit until it was time to get Blake for lunch.
Yeah, and then we went to, it was brunch.
Yeah.
So we went to brunch. And then after brunch, that's when we did the playscape. And we just looked around and we saw all of the lines, but all of the people doing the things, the flow rider, and that is included.
And the zip line.
And the zip line. And you can pay for activities if you want, but you don't even pay for the activities. You could pay for a lesson on the flow rider, but you can also just use the flow rider for no charge, which we should look to see, because tomorrow's a port day, if Blake can do the flow rider, because Blake did the flow rider when we were in Margaritaville.
Yeah.
He tried it for the first time and he actually did pretty well.
He did.
Did you try the flow rider then?
I did not.
Are you gonna?
Yeah, I'll probably try it tomorrow.
I will not be trying the flow rider. I have to run 6 miles, which seems like an awful idea, but I'm gonna do it. And I don't have to run 6 miles tomorrow. I have to run it this week. And I'm just going to do it tomorrow to get it over with and be done with it.
Yep.
Okay, so
we did
Playscape. He played there a really long time. And then washed his hands and he went back to the kids club, right?
Yeah.
Probably. And I worked. I tried to work. The internet is very unvoomy. It is not good.
Nope.
At one point in our cruise group, they talked about how we moved away from the satellite, and I'm like, that's not how satellites work.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. They're doing Starlink now, and I don't know what the issue is, but it has been garbage internet. I go to send a text message, and the first time I sent one to Chris and Steve, and the first time the text message failed, and then the second time it went through. So, but it took 15 minutes to send some pictures.
Yeah.
And even to send a text to whoever, it took 20 seconds to send words only via text messages on iMessage. So these are not things that it should take a long time.
No.
Okay, so then I assume we got ready for dinner and went to dinner.
We just got ready for dinner, yeah.
Our dinner, you guys know I like to eat early, but this is early early.
Yeah, 5 o'clock.
It's 5 p.m. to
And-
have a set dining time. And the reason we didn't do an anytime is because you still have to make a reservation for anytime. And I worried about my ability to get a reservation and to have the same waiter and all those things. And for the allergy, it's easier to have a waiter, the same waiter. So 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's really early.
Yeah. I mean, it's only like 30, 40 minutes earlier than like Disney does it, but it feels
That 45
a lot.
minutes
It's like
is huge.
It's like a big 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's, good. I mean, it's good. They're very quick.
Oh, so if you order an appetizer, like if you order a salad plus a soup or whatever your two sort of starters from the different categories are, they bring them at the same time.
Yeah.
So whatever, meals don't take very long, so
No,
that's a plus.
We're usually done in about an hour, 20 minutes.
Yeah. So we went to dinner. Oh, that night we went to the show called Effectors 2. And
Yes.
Dave made the joke, if we should have seen Effectors 1 if we missed out on things by not
Yeah,
seeing
because
it.
we were confused by what we were seeing, and I said, well, it's because we never saw the first one. The special effects were very cool, but I think you had to be really little or very drunk to really appreciate it.
Like a 20-year-old.
Yeah.
Not that kind of little. So, which we were not either of those things. So we did not appreciate it as much as we should have.
Yeah.
So we went to the show. Blake was back in the kids club at that point because he loves the kids clubs. He plays a lot of Gaga Ball and things that are like Gaga Ball but have a new name.
Yep.
That sound was the bathroom door closing.
Mm-hmm.
And then it has a magnet. And the bathroom door then slams into the magnet. So we always take our one of our hand towels and just throw it in the door so that it can stop that a little bit. Okay, so then, I don't know. It's possible we went... Oh, we did... No, that was the first night.
No, I think after the Effectors, we just went and got... This was a 50-minute show. But it was 8 o'clock. So no, we did probably...
Did
I
we
think
go?
we came back here maybe and just kind of hung
We
out.
either did that, or was that the night that we went... Did we already talk about this? You guys tell us in day one. But is that the night we went to the solarium?
No, that was
first night?
the second... Or that was last night.
Mm-mm.
Third night.
Was the first night or the second night? So unless we went to the solarium twice.
It was the third night, I thought. Yeah, all right.
It was
Well,
the first or the
then
second.
Then it would have been the second
But
night.
who knows?
It wasn't
So-
the first night, for sure.
Okay, did we literally just sit in here the first night?
I think so.
Okay. So this is why you should do a snippet every day and
So you don't
not
lose track.
every 4 days.
Yes.
Okay, or do part of one day, 3 days into the cruise, and then forget what you even talked about. Maybe we should have listened. Okay, so then we basically eventually went to bed. Day 3, we got up, had a granola bar again, went and got my coffee. Those are all the, the order of events for most days. And then Dave and I went for a run. We took Blake to the kids club, and then we went for a run.
Yeah, a 2-mile run.
So 2 miles was
4.8 laps.
There you go. 4.8 laps.
The chart is a little confusing at first because it's like it has 2 miles and then 5 miles and then 3 miles. It's like these different markers, and you're like, I don't get it. Then you realize what they've done is wherever you see the map, it'll say you are here. And at that point, you look at the other chart that tells you how many laps are 1 mile, 2 miles, and so on. And you realize, oh, if I start here and I start going around, those markers are, if I make it to that point after doing 1 full lap or whatever, I've hit my 2 miles. So it tells you.
So we did that. And there's, runners and walkers. And a lot of the time, and it's marked, a lot of the time the people have it figured out. And some of the time the people definitely don't have it figured out.
Right.
That was fine, though. It was very breezy. There's very little view of the ocean on the outdoor running track, but it still is a nice outdoor running track.
And they have nice signs, like they have things that say, like, keep going and do one more and
keep your pace.
Keep your pace,
which
your
that one
favorite.
bugs me. Because, how rude of it to yell at me to tell me to keep my pace. I don't want to keep my pace. What if I don't want to?
Yeah.
I feel like that sign is rude. Anyway, so there's that. And so we did our run. Then we went and tried to figure out a pool that we could, put our feet in. And the kid, like the outdoor regular pool, is murky,
cloudy, and yeah.
Like when Blake was 2, went on a Carnival cruise, and in that pool, there was a pool in the back that we usually loved, except that some of the days, on the sea days, it was murky and like,
it was like
cloudy.
gray.
You couldn't see the people underneath the water.
Yeah.
And these pools were like that.
Plus, the issue we also had is that there was an apron of like 2-inch water all around the deeper part. So unless you've got your suit on, you can't just sit on an edge and put your legs in.
Right, which is what we were going for.
Yeah.
And there were no chairs. Not a chair to be had anywhere near the pool. And that's, I guess, an issue, like, on the sea days, if you want your kid to play in the little kiddie, there's 2, like, a really young kid water feature place, and then there's a bigger kid, but still kid size, Blake-sized kid water area place. If you wanted your kid to play in there, you couldn't sit anywhere around it because everybody's towels are just sitting on every chair.
Yeah.
Not a person. It's not even usually stuff. Just a towel. And on Royal Caribbean, you have to pay for your towel checkout. I'm just dying to know how many people, like how much these people's towel bills are at the end of the cruise. Because like I saw a towel in the bathroom.
Oh, jeez.
I've seen towels, like random towels all over the place, and you get charged like $25 if you don't turn your towel back in.
Wow.
So whatever. A premium cruise line, this is not.
Well, they're supposed to, after 45 minutes of unattended, they gather your things and they keep them at the towel stand.
But
I don't think I've ever seen anyone actually do that.
Mm-mm.
So, but we wandered around and we ended up in the adult area where there was the solarium, where there's a very small pool.
Very small pool.
Very small. There's only one that is deeper than like a few inches. And like you saw, then your butt's hanging out because
because it's a what is it like Disney has the
infinity pool,
except the infinity's into another row below it of pool, like shallow pool areas, so you see in there. It's weird.
Yeah, so we just sat on the edge and put our feet in,
and it cooled us off a bit.
It did, and we had some drinks and then some water, mostly.
And then it was actually time to go to lunch again, or we would have missed lunch.
Yep.
So we sort of just went to lunch a little bit gross. And then we went to the main dining room for lunch. And that lunch was good.
Yeah.
I don't remember what we ate anymore, but I do remember
I had the steak frite that day. I forget what you had.
I don't remember what I had either. But it was good.
Yeah.
And then after lunch, because remember, Blake can't go back to the kids club till 2, and he really does like the kids club. It's not like we're forcing him even to go. He enjoys it. So after lunch, we went to the zip line.
Yes.
And I did the zip line. And if you are a Patreon, you've already seen me on the zip line.
Yes.
Blake did not weigh enough.
And was very relieved.
While we were in the line, he said, I am not going on that.
Yeah.
And then in the zip line, they make you like take all of your jewelry except for like a ring off. So our watches all had to come off. I still have my wish bracelet from Mason. That was the fish extender gift, and mine can come off now, so I had to give that to Blake. It hasn't fallen off, and if you want more information about what I'm talking about, reach out and I'll tell you. But so I gave that to Blake. I had to give my watches to Blake. Our sunglasses had to go to Blake.
Even though I had zippered pockets, they said the zippers could open and randomly. Although later on, an officer told me the real reason was because the harness is very tight around your legs, and it could be a blood flow issue. And that made a lot more sense than my zipper magically undoing itself and something going up the pocket and falling out. That
into the people below you. Because it's like 8 decks up.
Yeah.
Did we turn her?
It's eight decks up. And
it doesn't go very fast.
82 feet, I think, is what you read. It was something 80-something feet.
And then Dave did the math, and so it only went like 6.5 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So it's not, you don't go fast.
9 seconds is what it took. 9 seconds. Because Blake then decided he was going to be cameraman. So he took Christy's phone and he took video of each of us doing it. And I think the funniest part was when you said, well, Blake, if you were heavy enough, would you want to go? And he said, hard pass.
Yeah. He goes, upon evaluating the situation.
Yeah.
He didn't say those words, but essentially that is what he said.
The other thing, too, is you have to take all your stuff off. They don't really have there's no lockers. There's nothing there to put it. In fact, there's like a bench inside the area they're putting the harness on, but they don't let you put your stuff there. So basically their option was, we'll just put it on the floor outside of where you go in. And when I said, well, what if my things get stolen? He said, well, don't worry, we have cameras. So make sure you have someone with you to hold your stuff. Or a bag or back at where your towel is, whatever. But just don't leave it there, is my advice.
So we went ziplining.
Which was fun.
It was fun. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
I would go again. They have nighttime ziplining. They had it last night, but we did not do that.
No.
We were tired.
Yeah. And then he went back to the kids club after the zip line. And I think you worked, and I think we just hung out in here.
I tried to work, but really it's just me fighting with it because the internet's been so bad I can't get much accomplished.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot of, I think we explored a little bit, but for the most part it was just hanging out in the room because it's so peaceful here.
We love listening to the waves. Blake and I fell asleep with the balcony door open a couple nights ago, and we just had the ocean sounds just coming in. This is also funny. It's been cool for the entirety of the trip until today. Today, during certain parts, it was hot. Like, the temperature actually said it was 90, but the breeze, the
Windward Islands.
Yeah, whatever. The science makes it very breezy here, and it was very breezy in some parts. But if you were in the downtown area, right by where the ships are, no wind, very hot, suffocatingly hot, but whatever. But it was so funny because the whole week up until now, you'd open the door and it was just sort of breezy and comfortable. This morning you could not open your door. It was too stuffy and hot. Okay, so whatever. Oh, last night.
Intense.
We went to the Aqua Show.
Yes.
The Aqua Show was super cool. We now also know where all divers from the Olympics go when they're done diving for the Olympics, because they come here and they dive on a moving cruise ship. And they dove from like the high dive one time into the water of the moving ship. Like, who figured that out, how to make that work?
Yeah.
Very cool show.
Very cool show. A lot of special effects and lights and all that.
If you're going on a Royal Caribbean cruise, you need to make your reservations for these shows. They were supposed to open 30 days before, and they opened 45 days before. So I would just watch that for your cruise coming up. That's for Oasis class ships. I don't even think they were allowing reservations on other ships as of a few months ago, and I don't know if that has changed yet.
It was a very fun show.
Very fun. Like, Blake went, he was mesmerized. He actually said several times, well, this isn't Disney Cruise Line. And then we went to the rest there. Something broke in the show, and we had a pause. And so Blake and I went to the restroom, and he's like, this is the best show ever. He was like really into it. So that was the end of that day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then today we woke up and we had brunch essentially, but in the Windjammer, which,
yeah,
especially late in the day, it was not that exciting, and it's a port day. It was basically the only option. So the one thing I would say is to just, like, especially if you eat a certain granola bar already, some sort of meal replacement at home that you can travel with, I would almost consider bringing it if you're taking a Royal Caribbean cruise for these port days, because our excursion started at 12:15 on the pier, which is like a weird time. Like, how long does it take to get to the pier? What do I need? You know what I mean? Like, you have to plan for all that. You have to exit the ship. You have to be at a certain spot at a time. So we had to eat lunch, but then nothing opened.
Yeah, it was always this gap of things, breakfast is done at 11, lunch starts at 11:30, and so it was not soon enough for having lunch, and we wanted to leave at 11:45 at the latest
so
to
that
get
we
down
had,
there.
Yeah, time to get our towels, because you have to check out your towels.
Yeah.
And then they were supposed to sell water, which they didn't do
So
by the exit.
Only real option was to do Windjammer for breakfast and we basically got there at like 10:30, and so it was 30 minutes before it closed for lunch changeover.
And then my food takes a long time, and omelets took like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So just, you had to plan for that. And I would have maybe done things slightly different, but overall, it was fine-ish.
Yeah.
Blake ate enough eggs.
Yeah, frankly. He seemed to like the eggs.
Yeah,
so.
And he ate some sausages, and so that made me happy because, we didn't get back until 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
And
really 4:15.
Oh yeah, it wasn't 4. It was like
4:10
when we pulled in the parking lot and had to get to the ship, and then back up. And every time you move from one part of the ship, I think I was saying this, but I got distracted at some point earlier. Anytime you move from one part of the ship to the other, it takes forever because it's just so big.
Yeah, even if you're in the same area, like we got on the ship in the 4 elevator, which is where our room is, but even then. There's just so many people that you have to contend with finding an elevator that's not full.
Yeah, and they only seem to have like one elevator per bank going at a time.
Yeah.
Sometimes 2, like one going up and one going down. But there's 6 per bank, and there's 2 banks on each end of the ship, forward and aft. But they still, I've been watching them, trying to figure it out. They still don't seem to have more than one going.
Yeah, we did actually see somebody working on one today. So
we did. Okay, so for our excursion today, we went to the Spice Mill Beach, which was also called something else.
It's a conch shell beach.
Something.
Yes. And there was a little confusion.
There's ice skating. My phone just told me I had plans. I didn't recall having
tomorrow or today.
Is this the ice skating show? No, I wouldn't have made a show at such and such.
No, we had no shows planned tonight.
Okay, so we could do like open skating tonight at 9. Why would that be? Oh, so it's not 9 a.m. It was 9 p.m. Well, I'm never going to that. That's not happening.
There was. So
my phone was just reminding me, like Disney Cruise Line does, of things that I've starred that I wanted to go to. So that's what was happening here.
So we got off the ship to go meet our group, and it basically said Zone 2. End of the pier. And
there was not one thing that said Zone 2 once you got off the ship.
No. Well, there was a sign, but it was like, as Christy pointed out, not being held by anyone. It was kind of off to the side, like they were done with it.
It was in a wall. It was like on a wall.
And then there was a sign that said, like, Combin something beach. It started with a C. And so we finally asked somebody, and they said, oh, it's over here. It's the same line, but it's at the back of the line.
Well, she just said, go back there.
Yeah.
But then we still were in the wrong line, we learned.
Yeah.
It was chaotic. There were, if you think of St. Kitts, do you think of that many cruise ships coming here? No, you do not. And there were 3 cruise ships here. The Apex was here, Celebrities Apex, and some European line. And it was funny with the Apex being here because one of my friends, my neighbor, is on the Apex this week. So unfortunately, my excursion came back way too late, and her ship was leaving like right as we were getting on the shower or something. So we tried to make it so we could see each other on the port. It just didn't work out. But how random is that? That we were, neighbors in our same neighborhood, and we were on the island at the same time. So anyway, it was chaos. And honestly, Dave and I had regrets when we were standing in that line. It was so crowded, so hot. This really loud steel drum guy sounded fine, but it was so crowded already that it was just like, that was too much. But then we figured out the right line to be in. We got our wristband. They were calling for like a party of 3, which worked out because we were a party of 3, and they put us on a bus.
And we had a great driver. He gave us like great history of St. Kitts. But we didn't have to do like an island tour to get it. We were just on our way to the beach. It was really beautiful vistas everywhere, like gorgeous scenery. Yeah. He even said, so one of the things that they do, you go basically over to the other side of the island for the beach, And normally you'll stop at this lookout point to do a picture. And he said...
that's a thing included.
Yeah, and he said, now normally we do this, however, I know just from doing this that it gets very congested. So what we're going to do...
you worry about them stealing your children congested.
Yeah. And as we drove by it, it was just wall-to-wall buses and people at this lookout. So what he said is, we're going to go buy it right now. And then when we get to the beach, I'll pick you guys up at the end of the tour. Oh, Christy's seeing something. Oh, I think it's another cruise ship.
Is an island outside our balcony.
I wonder which one it is.
The lights going up and around it.
Oh, yeah.
It is amazing.
That is gorgeous.
I am going to see if we don't screw up our recording because I am going to look at my marine traffic app.
And see what that is.
To see what we're... Oh, my God. It looks amazing.
That is so cool.
So there's like an island with a road where... It's going to take a minute. With a road going up and over like a mountain.
Yes.
On the island.
So he said, I'm going to take you to the beach. You'll do your beach. And then on the way back, we'll stop and do a 5-minute lookout point picture. And it was a cool picture because, as we said earlier, St. Kitts is a windward island, meaning it's one of the ones that borders the Atlantic and the Caribbean. And so it's a shot where you can see on the left is the Atlantic and on the right is the Caribbean. And that's why you have the one side's very windy and where the port was very no wind.
So it says St. John's. Do we think that already? Well, we already here.
That could be.
Let me see what's over here.
Around outside of St. Thomas.
So according to this, is this it? Yeah. It says the bottom, it says Zion's Hill. And then at the bottom of that, it says St. John's. But I don't know if that's the real St. John's. No, because we'd see St. Thomas. So that's something different. No, because that's St. John's. Because Marigold, isn't that Simpson's Bay? That's all St. John's.
So maybe it's
So it's close.
Maybe it's a little St. John's?
Not St. John, St. Thomas. So that says Anguilla. It's possible. Our cruise was 5 seconds away from... Who knew? Okay, I'm going to put this back. That is super cool. I'm so glad that we noticed it.
So then we got to the beach, and so it's good to know, obviously, before you go, but with our excursion, it was included chairs. That was what the wristbands got us, was chairs at the beach. What was not included was a chair with an umbrella. If you want an umbrella, that costs $10. Now, you can still sit at a chair with an umbrella, but if you don't pay the $10, they close it up on you.
Yeah. And there was not a tree to be had to hide yourself from the sun.
No.
So you had to... I mean, unless you wanted direct sun for the entire day. And there are a lot of very red people on this cruise ship today.
Yes.
So there are a lot of people who were in direct sun for the entire day. But I have a very white and red family to begin with. So sitting in the direct sun, not ideal.
Not an option, no.
But we had a great day.
It was. We got sort of the end of the chairs.
We just kept going. Really, we had a different spot. And then Blake wanted to play in the sand. And there were people playing football so we were in the second row of sand chairs. And so we walked down to closer to the beach. And people were just playing football over us. So we opted to not be there. So we moved down to the end of the beach. Then I just decided, let's just move our chair to the end of the beach. It was very peaceful down there. Very peaceful. It was lovely, actually. Yep. And we just sat there.
Yeah. Blake played the entire time. He built sandcastles, and it was right at the shoreline. So he was doing experiments to see which castles would survive the water coming up to wash with the moats he was making. So it was really a fun time.
It was a really great day. So then we came back, showered, went to dinner. Dave and I walked around Central Park tonight, which is you'll look it up. It's an internal part of the ship. It was beautiful, beautiful music.
The ship is, like you said, it's got a lot to offer people to do.
A ton to offer.
And it's created these little sections. Like there's the boardwalk, which is where you can get to the zip line and stuff like that. And it's got Johnny Rockets and stuff like. It feels like a boardwalk. And then
It's got a carousel, which Blake went on.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about that yet.
And then the Central Park, which is sort of in the middle of the ship on deck 8. And it's sort of this, like, you're walking through a lovely garden area with all these nice restaurants. It's where the Chops Steakhouse is, Italian restaurant. So it's really just pockets of kind of cool areas to be in.
Yeah, so it's got a lot to offer. It's got a ton of live music.
Yes.
Ton of live music.
And the comedy club seems to always be hopping. Comedy club and karaoke are
Karaoke,
the two places
man.
that seem to be hopping every night.
The karaoke place is also where they have trivia.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I am telling you guys, this trivia, like, there are people holding their trivia slip against a wall to write it while they're standing there because there's not a chair or table to be had so that they can participate in trivia on their, like, insane.
Yeah.
The number of people participating. We did not participate in the trivia. But we walked by it. So, that's kind of it for today. This was a very long snippet. Apparently, we're just going to do snippets every several days, and they're going to be 1,000,000 minutes long.
Yep.
So, tomorrow, we'll talk about tomorrow when tomorrow happens. All right, everyone. Have a good night. Well, whatever. You're listening to this whenever you're listening to it. I'm going to have a good night. All right, so I'm coming in to say that the island that I just saw is called Saba, and it has a St. John's in it, but that is more of a city versus the island. But we're not far from St. Thomas.
It's like a day trip from St. Martin, so it's fairly close to there.
It's a day trip from St. Martin, so it's called Saba, S-A-B-A. There you go. That's your knowledge. Bye. Hello.
Hello again.
So it is day
6.
And we need to discuss day 5 still.
Yes.
So, what happened on day 5?
Day 5, you went for a very ambitious 6-mile run and
Right.
yet did very well, especially considering they'd closed off part of the ship of the running track, so you had to do little horseshoe loops.
Here's the thing, DCL podcast listeners. Why is it that every single time I am in St. Thomas, I forget that every single cruise line does lifeboat drills.
And lifeboat drills and all the fun things.
It's always lifeboat drills.
Yeah.
And so they closed down half of the running track. And it's possible that at some early hour the running track is open. But I am never on the running track at the early hour. It's always 9:30, 9:45. And I literally ran up to the one side as they were pulling the bar across. So I did horseshoes.
Yep.
It was fine.
Yeah.
It's a very long ship, and so you actually still run really far. And because we were in St. Thomas, I was able to turn on my cellular and use GPS, so that was nice.
Yeah.
And it was accurate GPS.
Although the map looked like a child had drawn a crazy crayon drawing.
Yeah, it did look.
Your route.
It did look like a child participated in mapping out my route. But yeah, so I did that. It was fine, actually. There were maybe 4 of us.
Yeah.
Regularly.
The ship was actually fairly empty in the morning.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people got off at St. Thomas.
Yeah, so there were about 4 of us regulars that just kept passing each other on the track for, the hour and 20 minutes that it took me.
Yeah. And then Blake and I sunscreened up, and we went up and checked the splash pad. He played in there for a little bit, and then we tried out so they have 3 water slides, 3 big water slides. There's a couple little kid ones, but there's 3 big water slides on this ship.
Not to be confused with the 2 really big dry slides.
Dry slides that
You're
are
gonna try that?
I don't know the answer to that. I might try that.
There's some mat you
You
slide
have to,
down.
you slide on a mat, which might make it better. But so the dry slide is basically like 7 or 8 stories tall. You go up to deck 16 and you slide down to deck 6, so it's a fairly big drop. The water slides.
That math tells me it's 10 stories tall.
Yeah, but there's no floor 13, and so it's actually 9. But it also might not be. It might be deck 15. I don't know. We'd have to go check it out and see.
Well, you get on that slide per the
Oh,
elevator map.
At
The
deck
scary
16.
face on deck 16.
So it's a 9-story drop then. Yes. But the water slides are 3 stories high. And 2 of them they have a fun little thing of saying you can compete with each other. So they're like right next to each other and you can see who gets down there first. And then there's an orange one that is a little more intense, I think. It has a bigger drop in the beginning and it's a single slide. But it's on the other side.
But that one's never been open, has it?
It actually has been. It just has a very long line and it's one at a time people. And so it's always slow. But it also is closed more often than not. We had some difficulties with the slides. We got up to the top and the operator said he suggested we take off our rash guards, and we like to have them on for the sun, so we said no, we'll be fine. He said, well, if you stop moving, just push yourself along. And it was a good thing he said that, because I stopped every single time I wasn't pushing myself along. It was literally went about 5 feet and then stopped completely. And it was pitch black. I mean, not a light to be had. There were every now and then a faint red light, but that was it.
So you were laying down.
I was laying down.
Could you have sat up?
I could have. It wasn't tall enough of a tube for me to sit fully upright. I probably would have had my head against the ceiling, but I could have probably leaned up. And I did try that every now and then. So I could have sat up, but I even did try it.
It doesn't sound like you could really sit up.
No, Blake could, and he did. I sort of rocked myself up a bit now and then, and it worked a little bit, but it was troubled. So I had to basically crawl my way down it. And the thing was, it was so pitch black, I was worried about Blake the whole time, because if he was like me and stuck, he would be terrified because it was so black. Fortunately, he was lighter and smaller, so he had a little bit of moving himself, but he got down first. But just note, when they say take your rash guard off, apparently that is really highly recommended, because otherwise you will have to crawl your way down the slide, which I find very odd. I've never had that happen before.
Yeah. So then you went to the pool.
So then Blake wanted to swim, and so we went over to the pool. And like I said, it was very light that morning. There weren't a lot of people.
It was a port day.
Yeah. It was St. Thomas, so.
And then I finished my run and joined you guys at the pool.
Yep.
And then we went to lunch.
Yep. We went into Windjammers for lunch.
And then we decided to abandon Windjammer and the buffet and got pizza instead. Yep. And then everybody sort of wanted some downtime.
Yep.
So we came back to the room. Oh, Blake had the idea to do movie or TV
cuddle.
show and cuddles.
Yep.
So we sort of
went with it.
Changed and got into bed, and I took a nap, and we were all snuggled in, and it was so fun. And
it was funny too, because in port days they have the kids club open until basically the whole time. Instead of having breaks every 3 hours, it's open from the morning until 5.
Well, it's so parents can do excursions without their kids.
Right, exactly. But that means that Blake could have just gone to the kids club, but I feel like, wanted a break too. So
yeah, everybody needed a break.
He suggested
the kids club
some
has been a bit chaotic most of the time that we've seen it. Like, just a lot of activity. There's a lot of kids. They said there's 1,800 kids on board.
Yeah, and it feels like that sometimes.
Sometimes. This ship does eat people, though.
It does. I have never felt like it was overwhelming number of people, but it did feel like a full ship.
Yeah.
Here. So then we did our cuddles. You took a nap. Blake cuddled in between us and watched his show.
And then he abandoned us at some point when it was fort.
And we still cuddled, and you napped a little bit more.
This family veranda with that little bunk bed is like a kid's dream. At least my kid's dream. It is cozy in there. I snuggled with him in there today a little bit. And, like, maybe against his will, but whatever.
Until he kicked you out.
Well, he kicked me out the whole time. I just didn't leave.
Yeah.
So it is cozy in there. And he draws the curtain. And, like, right now, he's going to go to the kids club in a little bit. But he is taking a little bit of a Wild Kratts break. And he is watching some recorded shows on his iPad in his fort. And just hanging out for a tiny bit. And then he'll go to the kids club.
Yep.
For a couple of hours. Tonight we had... Oh, wait. Let's go back to last night.
Last night. So yeah, so then he went to the kids club, and then we got him for dinner, and we just kind of hung out until it was dinner time.
Having this balcony door open, I tried to work, and the internet didn't even function at all.
Yeah.
And I had to go, one of my clients was on the wait list for a concierge cabin for DCL, and they cleared the wait list. Well, so it used to be that you could clear the wait list. Now they say the wait list, there is a cabin available, and they email everybody potentially on the wait list and are basically like, call us, first come, first serve, whoever gets the cabin gets the cabin. So I needed to get a hold of DCL to get this cabin for my client who wanted it. And I was able to get through to get them the cabin. And then I could not make the payment, though, because my connection was so bad, I couldn't make the payment. So then I tried to get online. I spent a couple of hours trying to get, at least an hour, trying to do the payment. I finally ran down to the Diamond Lounge, which is for like repeat cruisers at a certain level. And the host there let me use his phone, and I just called DCL.
Because his computer wasn't even working
His
either.
computer wouldn't work either. He let me try to log in, and trying to get into Disney Travel Agents didn't work. My client would have called to make the payment herself, but she was traveling, and so it was less than ideal time. So it was just like, it was a mess. So I think that's what we did until it was time to shower and get ready to go to dinner.
Yeah, because we had the specialty dining last night. We went to
yeah.
Chops and had a nice little steak dinner. It was very good. You pre-ordered the night before, had to convince them a little bit on some of the dishes that you could have it, but they came through. They got you everything that you asked for. They got you
a fried goat cheese
salad,
which was delicious, and then a fried, how do you say that?
The
cheese?
tater tots,
with the G.
Oh, the Gruyere.
Yeah.
The Gruyere cheese, yeah.
So they made me tater tots, which weren't they were more like a hush puppy situation.
Yeah.
But with that
big.
cheese, they were big, and they were delicious.
And then we both had fillets. Blake had, it was listed as roast chicken, but it was really a grilled chicken breast.
Yeah.
But it was fine.
Really
he liked it. He really liked it. We had side of mashed potatoes. And it was all very tasty.
And then cakes.
And cakes. I had cheesecake, and you had the chocolate cake, and it was very good. So everything. The only thing that they said that you couldn't have, only because it was a package they got from the shore.
Oh yeah.
Was the bacon
pork belly.
Yeah, which really it was a pork belly. It was a grilled pork belly, and it was good. I had it. It was very, very tasty. But they said it was because it came from a package and it didn't say it. You couldn't have it. But.
And I would say that eating has been, like, trying to get different food has been a little bit of a challenge. But I've had zero issues with getting glutened.
Right.
So everything has been prepared in a safe manner for me. Maybe I would like more choices. Like, I've eaten a lot of New York strip and not the best cut of New York strip for the week for dinner because we don't eat seafood. And so I'm like, I don't eat jerk chicken and things like that. So I feel like the offerings are limited.
Yeah.
But they've
been safe.
They have been safe. So that's been good. So then last night after dinner, we took a picture and we took Blake to the kids club. We offered to take him to the show because it was something he would have liked, but he was like, no, I want to go to the kids club. So we took him, and then we went to the show, and it was like Tap Factory is what it was called. And it was very cool.
Very much like Stomp. If
Yes.
those of you familiar with the old Stomp percussion style show.
I feel like every act, if you would call them an act, was maybe 5 minutes or several minutes too long, but it was all very good.
Yes, it was very, very talented people.
Lots of tapping.
They had a guy who's
Did the ropes.
double jointed, and they had another guy who was very strong, kind of a strongman, fit gymnast type person. So
yeah, so that was good. And then
we came back here, I think, and we got our boy.
went to bed.
And went to bed. Yeah.
And then today we got up.
Ooh, we also had, so what led to this morning's activity was our head waiter from the main dining room.
Oh, yeah.
had popped up to make sure we were good in chops, and he offered to us to be able to join him for what's called a sip tour, which was a behind the scenes kitchen tour, and so that's what we did this morning.
Yeah, it was like a galley tour.
Yep. And it was very cool.
It was very cool, but the galley is so much smaller than you would expect, and smaller than other galleys I've seen on smaller ships. Now, it's 3 floors, but each floor sticks to their own galley.
Yeah.
Like, my understanding is they don't move amongst the floors almost ever. Maybe for the allergies.
Right.
But that's it. So, that was good.
Yep.
We were glad we went. We all went.
It was very nice. It was a very nice experience to see it. And then after that, we came up, we had pizza for lunch. And then after lunch, they had a family fun fair on the boardwalk, which deck
was
6.
chaos.
It was chaos. They had some games. They had popcorn and cotton candy. They had balloon animals. Blake got a couple balloon animals, which were really cool. They had some like sweets. So the boardwalk has like bars and things like and Johnny Rockets, but it also has a sweet shop, and they had put out some treats and things.
I don't know that it was from that sweet shop. Those treats.
I just assumed.
I know those were the same treats that they offered us at the SIP.
Oh yeah. So maybe it was just a separate
blah, blah,
thing.
blah.
Maybe it was a separate thing then.
But either way, they were cute.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun thing, and then
it was
we got
really good for Blake.
Tired of the people, and then we left.
Yeah, we all did at the same time. I would say. Oh my god, I love the sounds of the ocean. So again, we're just sitting in our cabin, the back balcony doors open, and it's our favorite.
Yep. And then we took Blake to the kids club, and then we just kind of hung out in our room for a bit until it was time to get ready for dinner.
Yep, that's been it.
Then we had dinner, and now we're hanging out in the room again and came up to watch the sunset.
Which, of course, was very cloudy.
Of course.
But at least we got to see it.
Yep.
So, and then we had 2 shows for tonight, but we're all just perhaps a little bit tired. So Blake didn't want to go to the ice skating show, which was somehow late. There's no way I made a reservation for something at 9:15 after I made a time for a different show. There's literally no way I would have done that in my life. So I'm guessing that they moved the shows.
Yep.
So we are going to skip the ice skating show because I am tired.
Yep. And I'm going to take Blake to the kids club for a little bit, and then he'll go to bed, and then we'll go to bed, and we'll all sleep really good tonight. Yep. And tomorrow is perfect day at Coco Cay.
Yeah, we're going to have a perfect day. We're actually, I think, going to wait a little bit to get off, but we will get off because for sure Blake wants to play in the sand. We want to see it. But I think we might stay on the ship in the morning and then get off in the afternoon.
Yep.
And that's our plan. So I think that's it for this almost last snippet. We'll have another one for either tomorrow or between tomorrow and then we have to do the last day, like getting
off the ship,
things like that. So that's it. I hope everybody is having a good day. Bye.
Hello.
This is our 4th snippet.
Yep.
If you count the 0.5s as not snippets.
Right. Well, they were really one we couldn't find the pause button.
Yeah. So you'll be shocked to know we are in our cabin with the door open again because it's our favorite.
Yep. It's just so peaceful and lovely to listen to. It's a little humid right now, but it's actually still lovely to have the ocean sounds.
Which, this is for Joe. I've talked about the weather. But it is humid, and tomorrow it's supposed to be freezing in Orlando. So why is it so humid today?
Yep.
These are my questions. Okay, so this was the last day of the cruise.
Yep. Perfect day at Coco Cay.
It was a nice day.
It was.
Okay, so we started the day. I went and had breakfast. And I ordered Eggs Benedict, but also added on sausage. And I got poached eggs on bread with hollandaise sauce. No Canadian bacon.
Did you get your sausage at least?
And sausage.
Okay, good.
And it was, and a hash brown. And like typically you order a hash brown, you get 2 or 3 hash browns. I got 1. That's fine. It was delicious. And
You need your coffee.
I got my coffee from the lounge. I always get my coffee from the lounge to start my day. It's lovely. So it was good.
Yeah, Blake and I hung out. He had his milk in his fort, just like always.
And then we just hung out for the morning. Did we all, like, get back into bed?
I think we did for a bit. You did a little bit of packing this morning just to kind of organize
like
a couple things, like one or two things. But yeah, it was more so just kind of lazy morning.
So our plan was to then have pizza before we left the ship.
Yep.
Because we were like, there's a lot of people and we don't need to spend an entire day at the beach. And so we did that. We went and had pizza and then we went to the beach. And there were a ton of people leaving with us at like 12:30 or 1, like a ton of people.
And it was funny because it felt like the ship was already emptied. I mean, we were sitting there having pizza and there was nobody there, really, basically.
But were they coming from our ship? We don't really know.
Yeah.
But the other ship was there already, so who knows? Whatever. So tons of people left. The island was packed. There was like one random chair that we sort of potentially stole from another person, but there was nothing on the chair. But the adjacent chair had lots of things. And then there were... Is it football? Is it St. Patrick's Day? Did they get confused?
I mean, it's
there's
a
like chanting
type song, but who knows?
Oh. Okay, people. You're coming with me. Do you hear that? What? Only on Royal Caribbean, people.
Yep.
Only on Royal Caribbean.
Yep.
So was it regular people chanting just now?
I feel like it was, but I don't know. And then someone whistled and they all stopped. So it's hard to say.
So there's that.
The people are fascinating. They're annoying a lot, but they're very fascinating too.
There's some nice, normal people.
Yes.
But the problem with 7,000 people...
Yes. Is there 7,000 people?
Is there a lot of people we would not spend our time with on a regular basis.
I kept thinking of a famous line that in theory was historically accurate, but was from Braveheart, where the British king said, "You know the problem with Scotland? It's full of Scots." I feel like that's the problem with Royal Caribbean Cruise. It's full of Royal Caribbean cruisers.
But what's so funny is I encountered, like, tonight...
There were some lovely people.
I went up to my favorite bar after, which was just for the people who want to know, was one of the lime and the coconut. That's what it was called.
They're all called that.
Yes. So it was the lime and the coconut next to the solarium.
Yeah.
My favorite bar. And you get a beautiful sunset-ish when the sunset is setting properly.
And it was only 3 floors above us, so it was like a nice little walk up.
Super easy to get to. And the bartenders were amazing there. And tonight, like, I was supposed to come back and pack, and I didn't because I was chatting with the people. I went up to get a drink, and then I was chatting, and I didn't want to leave. They were, like, the most lovely people. This guy from Canada, this couple from Florida, frequent cruisers, the other one is frequent Disney travel. Just, like, a great conversation. Normal, nice people. We all loved the bartender. We told him how great he was. It really is the best bar.
Yep.
The one right next to the solarium. The solarium bar is pretty good too.
Yeah.
And it's quiet. Nice. So those were our bars. But a lot of people are crazy on this ship.
Yeah. So going back, we found this chair.
Beach. We just grabbed a chair.
Yeah. There was nothing on the chair. There was stuff next to it, nothing on the chair. So we just took it.
Because we needed a chair.
Yeah, and it was under coverage. It had shade and all that. And then shortly after, so Christy and Blake went down to the beach to play in the sand. We brought little buckets and stuff for Blake to play with. And then shortly after that, someone came up and didn't really even see them because they came up behind me, grabbed the stuff off the chair and walked away. So
and
like,
the table,
okay.
because the
there
table
was
also had shoes
flip-flops
on it.
yeah.
It was a random place to put your flip-flops.
Yeah.
Don't put your flip-flops on a chair, on a table, people.
No.
Don't do that.
But I said,
anyway,
okay. So I put my stuff on the chair, so we had 2 chairs now.
Blake and I played in the sand. He played with the little boy for a while. I was covered in sand everywhere. But he loved it.
Yeah.
And it was sunny and nice and breezy. Good breeze. The
Very
water
nice breeze.
is cold. You know, for March, I sort of expected the water to not be so cold. Because when we were... Sorry. When we were here I just bumped the
In November.
chair. And it went... Or the phone went everywhere. So sorry about that, guys. But when we were here in November a couple years ago, the water was freezing. But I assumed it was a November problem. But we're here now in March, like mid-March, and the water was cold.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the difference between Castaway and Coco Cay, because it's really not an alcove type situation.
Right.
It's just ocean.
Yeah, that could be.
So it was fine, but it was refreshing. But it was cold. I did not go in more than my legs because, cold. So Blake and I made sandcastles, and then after like an hour and a half, he had just had too much sun. I was like, you cannot be one of those little red kids that just walk around sunburned. So I told him he had to come and be under the covers, like under the umbrella covers, and whatever, that sentence had problems, but you understand. And so he made sandcastles.
Right in front of us. We had a little
Right in front of us.
contest where he would make little cake-shaped things in the sand and ask us which one was the real cake. And it was...
All sand.
all sand. And so we were very confused, but we kept guessing, and he kept saying we were either right or wrong. And it was...
Whatever. It was a
ball.
game.
He had a ball.
He played in that sand for hours today and had himself a great little time.
Yep.
And that's all that mattered. So then we came back, showered.
Well,
I went to the bar.
We paused, so Christy started to go back to the ship, and then Blake and I, as we're walking back up, there's a pirate ship water play place, like right off of where the pier is. And Blake wanted to play on that, so Christy was going to go ahead and take a shower, and Blake and I I sat and watched while Blake played on there for about 10-15 minutes.
And that is included. So
Yeah.
there's that, and there's a couple of included children water slides and splash pads. Which, did you see it when we walked by it this time?
Yes.
We walked by it. We tried to hide it because we didn't really want our kid to go there today. Only because we didn't want to, there's very little chairs in front of those areas.
Yeah.
Whatever. So we were bad parents. But he did see the pirate ship, and he wanted to go to the pirate ship, so they went on the way back. I came back. I went to the bar. And then I just came up, took a quick shower, and then we had dinner.
Yep.
And then we packed. Blake went to the kids club. I went to the bar, and that's where I just didn't leave after dinner for quite a while, but that was fine. And then
we packed up a bit, and then went down to the lounge to say goodbye to Kenny,
the concierge host or
in
whatever,
the lounge, who helped you out with all the when the internets weren't working. He helped you out a lot. And he was very nice. He's very nice and very helpful.
He shared some stories. Okay, let's reverse and pretend we didn't say his name, but it doesn't matter. But he shared a couple of stories which I think are fantastic. One was that Virgin Voyages would try to get workers to come, and then they would switch out the contracts, like after the beginning, once they had to fill the ship. But then once they filled the ships, like after the first contracts or whatever, they would be like, come on board, you get to have X. And then they'd get on board and give them Y, which was not as good.
Yeah.
And then also how awful the teenagers are, and how they'll be disregarding the rules and saying, you can't make me do anything. And then
not afraid of security.
Not afraid of anything.
No.
And then crying abuse when somebody says you need to go to your room. Just not good.
No. And then if they call the parents, half the time the parents are getting in their face and saying, why are you getting on my kid? So it's very clear why the kid's acting the way they are. But I feel for them. They it's not easy these days.
No.
With disrespectful cruisers.
Right. He shared a lot.
Yeah.
Like, maybe a half an hour of stories about cruisers and all the things.
Yeah.
Just demanding people. Like, I'll have hours of his desk, and people will show up like an hour or half hour later and wonder why they have to wait in line. You're just like...
Yeah, my favorite was the one he shared where he said that there was a cruiser that showed up on day 6 saying there was 3 cabins and they were all supposed to have the same exact cabin type or balcony size. And one of them had like a half a meter shorter balcony. And they wanted something done about it. And this was day 6.
And he's like, what do you want me to do about it now?
It's kind of late for it.
It's day 6. So Blake has just requested that we cover him up and put him to bed. So Dave is off doing that. So that's the end of our cruise. You know, there are reports about menu changes at Royal Caribbean, and there are menu changes. I think if we ate seafood, it would have been good because our options would have been more plentiful. Because some of the nights there were lots of seafood options. There also were some allergy issues where, not that my food had a problem, because I did not get sick this week at all, but that the person who was plating my food wouldn't check to see if something would have either had cross-contamination or if it was safe, and just went the safe route. Sort of like I always say with Delta Airlines, they make it the most benign meal for the allergy meal ever so that it can cover as many allergies as possible, like every allergy. And I feel like whoever plated my food was doing that. So we finally tonight had the chef out because, you know, I pre-order all my food the day before. So in theory, I should be able to get what is listed in the allergy in the menu as the components of the meal. And repeatedly, I was just not getting the components of the meal. And so I finally said, look, I would like to talk to the decision maker. Like, I want to talk to the chef. Because, like, I had a turkey dinner tonight, and my turkey dinner was supposed to come with sweet potatoes. I didn't get a sweet potato. I got a baked potato. And then my steak was supposed to have chimichurri and Mediterranean seasonings and all, and I didn't have any of that. I had like my regular gravy, which the gravy, I did forget to tell that chef, but the gravy that they make for the gluten-free cruisers was delicious. But it's not what I ordered. And so, you know, the chef came out and he apologized, and he thought that I hadn't been saying something all week, which I did to my serving team. And really, my serving team was really good, and our head waiter was really good, but there were just holes with the process.
Some sort of breakdown of communication.
So, whatever. And I will say the serving team is just as good as at Disney.
I think part of the problem that we found is that this is a relatively new menu. It started a month ago. And he also mentioned that the person doing allergy was new to the ship, had been with Royal for a while, but was new to the ship as of a week. And I think there was just issues where potentially it's unclear what they're allowed to do for swap outs. And I think, you know, because I think they want to prevent a lot of substitutions. But then there was that crossover of that into an allergy has to have a substitution. So they're sort of like, well, I don't know how far we can go. And I think it was just kinks that need to be worked out with this new menu.
Yeah, because like the spaghetti for Blake, because the kids' menu was very limited.
Yes.
And the mac and cheese was like baked, beautiful mac and cheese, like beautiful baked cheese with noodles.
Yes.
But not mac and cheese in any kid's standard.
It was basically large. I don't even know if it was technically macaroni.
It wasn't. It was shells.
Large shells with mozzarella cheese that had been baked. So not like a traditional
for an adult,
mac and cheese.
It would be perfect,
yeah, it was very tasty, actually.
It looked lovely.
Yes.
But the problem is, it wasn't what our kid had in mind, nor what he usually eats. And whatever, we should expand his horizon, but there was no way he was eating that mac and cheese. So that particular night, we ordered him spaghetti because there was spaghetti on the adult menu that had bolognese sauce, so it had meat.
The kids menu, by the way, only has marinara, just to clarify.
Yeah. So he started eating that, and then he ate it the second night. And then the third night, it wasn't going to be on the menu. And we were like, well, and at first, they hemmed and hawed, and we're just like, but this is what our child will eat, can he get it? And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but they were like, we'll place the order just like we do for your allergy. And we did get it. And he literally ate the same meal for 7 nights for dinner, but he ate a giant bowl. Oh, yeah.
It was an adult-sized portion. He almost ate every bit of it. He loved it. It was really tasty, spaghetti. Actually. I tried it, and it was very, very good.
Every night. So it was like, we wanted him to keep getting that offering because it was so good, and he ate so much of it. We wanted him to keep getting it. So, and he did. But it was a minute because there was a pause because of the substitution, because they don't want substitutions right now. And I understand not wanting people to order 4 filet mignons or 4 lobster tails. But we were just, trying to get our son some spaghetti, right? Yeah. So, whatever. I feel like there was some misses with food like that. Mm-hmm. But, like, the pluses were the crew. Yes. For the most part, the crew were amazing.
Our room steward actually was really good. She was a little slow at getting to our room. But...
because I think they have a ton of rooms.
Yeah, there's a lot of rooms here.
You can tell the corridor, like, where she starts her morning and where she ends. I think we're, like, because we're at the service door, so I think we're one of the last rooms in her section. Tons. And they're only doing the rooms once a day. But you would think everybody wants their room done in the morning because your bed gets made. It looks nice for the whole day. Like, you don't need
towels for showers.
Right. You don't need your room turned down as the one service for the day. Like, cleaning up your, like, getting the room started for the day seems...
better.
Which is so funny, because at home, we don't make our bed. But on vacation, there really is something about the bed being made to sort of clean up the whole room.
Yeah. But, like, we put in requests for extra towels and extra soap, and she was good. She brought in, she left every night
ice bucket,
additional things.
Like,
ice bucket.
She was just really good.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
We used, like, little washcloths to, like, because it's so moist on this cruise. There's just so much condensation. So we would ask, like, I wanted a washcloth by each of our beds and to wash our face and to dry the counter that would just inevitably get covered with water with the way the sink was designed. And she had it every day. Just, like, really good service.
Yeah. And that's one of those things that we look for because, we get frustrated sometimes if we ask a room steward for something or we moved a towel and then they keep moving it back or they don't give us that thing again the next night. It's like
on Disney where they put the hand towels and then we will move it to another shelf, like closer to the sink or whatever. And then if they don't put the towel back there, I don't know why it bugs us so much because we're like, it's every day. Just put the towel back. Yeah. Like,
if you notice your passengers are doing this, you just do that. Like, we actually removed in the bathroom area, the garbage had a cap on it.
Oh, yeah.
And that frustrates us because it's so annoying.
Because you have to, like, get under the cap to get to the garbage, like, where you throw the garbage.
So we removed the cap and just kind of put it next to it. Well, she noticed that and then just took the cap away. And it was like, that is a good attention to detail.
Yeah. So, really good. We really liked her. Our serving team was amazing. Doing the best they could. Yeah.
I do feel like in talking, and I know that this is relatively common on cruise ships and has been where everyone pulls multiple duties. But I feel like I felt it more on this ship where I feel like the workers were basically 11 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they were going from job to job to job and they were just shuffled around.
Well, the
do multiple
bartender
duties.
that I talked to in my lime and the coconut, the one next to the solarium, because like Dave said, there's multiple. He closes down the bar at 7 and moves to the Aqua Theater in the evening and does back of the house stuff. So that's what they do. They move from station to station and just keep working.
Yeah. I mean, even when we were at the Aqua Theater for that show, Blake recognized some of the checking in people were kids club counselors.
Oh, yeah. Like multiple checking in people to see if you had a reservation were kids clubs counselors.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can't fathom working all day in that chaotic kids club and then having to go do check-in at the theater. It's just insane that they're working so much.
Yeah. The kids club has been really good for Blake.
It has.
I mean, he still ranks them Disney, Celebrity, and Royal Caribbean.
Well, Disney Wish, then
right.
Disney, then Celebrity, and then Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, so Disney Wish, and then every other Disney ship. And the Disney Wish Kids Club is pretty spectacular.
It is.
So I can see they really put thought into that.
Yep. And I feel like the reason Celebrity ekes out Royal Caribbean is because there tends to be fewer kids, so it's quieter.
And they try really hard. And I really think that our kid appreciates that. Like, they try to entertain the most kids. There were 2,000 kids on this cruise. Well, just under. Next week, I think they're actually at 2,000.
Yeah.
That's a lot of children to have.
To corral.
And they don't all go to the kids club, but
a lot of them do. I mean, I every time we dropped them off or picked them up, it seemed like it was multiple dozens of kids that were in the kids club.
And our son would be like, I would like you to drop me off 10 minutes after it starts so that we'll be there less, or wait in line less.
I did overhear, I don't know if this is true or not, but I overheard one passenger mention that, because the kids club he's in was 6 to 12, and they mentioned that they think that if you're within 6 months of your birthday, you can go
overlap.
in there. Yeah, you could overlap.
Too, we forgot to go to, there was like a jungle gym room. We forgot to take him to.
We did. We forgot to do that. The play
whole
place.
week. We ran out of time. So, overall thoughts about the ship. The ship has a lot of really cool features.
It's really cool look and feel to it, too.
Yeah. And it does eat the people well. Like, there's a lot of people on this ship, but it's very infrequent that you notice the people. Like, the magnitude of the people.
Yes.
It really...
I mean, it feels like a full cruise, but comparatively to, like, the Celebrities we've been on that are smaller ships, it feels like a full one of those, not a 6,700 passenger ship.
7,000.
7,000 passenger, good Lord. Yeah. I mean,
and they said there was 6990 passengers.
Yeah.
It was like 6998 that were booked, and 8 didn't make the ship for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. What helps is they do have a lot of big spaces.
Venues.
Like there's that main thoroughfare on deck 5.
The promenade.
Promenade. There's the boardwalk on deck 6, which is this big open space that you can absorb people. There's also the Central Park on deck 10, or deck 8 rather, so that it helps to have those spaces.
The issue is that moving from one end of the ship is a lot of up and down of floors. Yeah. Like, to go from our cabin in deck 11 forward to get to dining at deck 3 aft, on the first day was near impossible because of the closed cabin hallways.
Mm-hmm.
So you couldn't just walk across. And then even still, like, you wouldn't walk the whole cabin hallway to get to the aft of the ship. So you have to go down.
I did it once.
Cut across.
And it felt a lot longer than just going down to 5 and cutting across.
Well, because it's narrow.
Yeah.
And it's probably slightly longer. Is that possible? Probably not possible. But you go to the front of the elevator, so you're already, like, cutting off some of it.
Yeah.
By the time. So, yeah. But so you take a lot of steps on this cruise.
Yes. We hit our 7,000 steps every single day.
Every single day.
Without even really trying. Like today I sat a lot and I still hit my 7,000 steps.
The internet's been horrible, but I think it's a Starlink problem, not a Royal Caribbean problem.
So the concierge guy, him mentioning all the cruise ships, that is definitely a potential problem. It isn't, because it's the thing I forgot about. It's not just the number of people on this ship.
Oh, I said that days ago.
All the ships that are using the same Starlink where they've got one satellite, that's going to be a big bottleneck, and that's why it's going to have problems.
But, right, they sold...
they sold it like they could handle it, but then
they're not handling it. So right now it's not working the way it's supposed to, so just something to keep in mind. Okay, so this was way too long. We apologize. It's going to be like an 8-hour episode. Enjoy. Overall, it's a very cool ship. If you want to do activities, it's a great ship for that. I think that of the Royal Caribbean International Group, or Royal Caribbean Group, which houses Royal Caribbean and Celebrity is still our cruise line.
Yep. But I think there is a place for this cruise for people that...
Especially who like activities.
Because the Celebrity doesn't have things like...
They don't have anything.
Slides or rock climbing walls or flow riders or all those little things, And I think so if you're someone that likes activities, I think it is a good alternative.
Right. And I think all of the cruise lines are cutting back on food. Yeah. We even noticed that at Christmas for me. Like some of the stuff, our waiter would show me some food and say, this is what they tried to pass off as the gluten-free alternative. And he was like, I did not bring you this. I brought you this other meal instead because that meal didn't look edible. So every cruise line, I think, is cutting back.
Yeah.
Which is all of the world trying to make up for COVID losses.
Yeah.
But they have to keep in mind the repeat cruisers and the repeatability.
Well, and I think it's the double ding too about the cutting back, but also then increasing your prices at the same time. It's like that's going to be something that's going to come to a head at some point, and the pendulum will swing back the other way because passengers aren't going to put up for that.
Yeah, so we'll see how that all shakes out.
Yep.
So we hope you liked our 80-hour snippets, and tomorrow we get off in the morning and drive home.
Yep.
Reach out with any questions. Bye.
Bye.
Well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Once again, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Dave and Christy, who took time out of their beautiful sailing aboard Royal Caribbean's Wonder of the Seas, the largest ship on the seas these days, as they sailed out of Port Canaveral over spring break. I hope you enjoyed this look back on their cruise and want to thank them for taking time during their vacation to bring this content to you. We'd also like to give a huge shout out to our Patreon supporters. They help bring this show to you each and every week ad-free. If you'd like to find out more how you can support our show, you can go to patreon.com/DCL podcast and find out all the information there. Also, we'd like to ask if you have time to go over to iTunes and leave us a review, actually Apple Podcasts, and leave us a review, or wherever you listen to this podcast. That helps our show get a little bit better known in the Disney cruising, the Disney podcasting, and the cruising podcasting community. Thanks for each and every one of you who take the time to do it or have done so. Thank you once again. Well, this spring break, if you're heading out on a Disney cruise, headed down with Adventures by Disney, headed to one of the parks, or getting ready for Run Disney's Springtime Surprise Weekend, on behalf of myself, Steve, Nova, and Christy, all of us here at the DCL Podcast, we like to wish you to be well, enjoy time with family and friends, and we'll see you next time on the DCL Podcast.